This football club has 12 contracted players for the season only. That spells a recipe for disaster. Gateshead FC narrowly missed out on the playoffs to get into the Football League, finishing outside the top 7 by just 1 point. 12 months ago, they claimed their first ever FA trophy at Wembley, defeating Solihull Moors on penalties. It's a new manager, it's a completely new set of players pretty much, and it's a brand new different era for Gateshead Football Club. I think I need to get in there and rebuild that squad. So we're going to start with the style of play under their new manager, Alan Armstrong, and kind of decide what type of football that they're going to play and kind of base the recruitment off of that. So Alan Armstrong sets up mainly in a 4-4-2, but can be adjusted to a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-2-3-1. Now, the manager emphasises his players to work extremely hard and bring an identity of both energy and effort. They expect strong counter-pressing, they're a high-pressing team in possession, continuing the aggressive strategy that was deployed under the previous manager, Rob Elliott. They play out from the back and they trust technical defenders and the goalkeeper to bypass the press. And they place a real emphasis on control and progression with a willingness to sustain attacks. So what's clear to me is that they can be quite patient on the ball at times, however they want to be willing to get forward as quick as they possibly can. And of course, you need players that are going to be versatile, people who, for example, who are wide midfielders, play as wingers as well, players who, or in fact one of them could be a striker that can also play as an attacking midfielder, or just behind the striker as a central forward. So you need versatility in this squad, you need energy in this squad, you need a bit of youth in this squad, but one key thing missing here is National League experience. So here are the list of targets that I've got for Gateshead Football Club. So we're going to be looking at a left-sided centre-back, a right-sided centre-back, a right-back. We've got 2 wingers, one either side, one on the left and one on the right, an attacking midfielder in case you need to switch the formation, and a striker. So let's get started with our 2 centre-backs. Let's start off with the left-hand side, and I've gone with a loan deal for a Sunderland Academy player who I think could do the job. And that is Luke Bell, who's captained and regularly featured at both under 18 and under 21 level. He's a commanding centre-back who's composed in possession, so technically he's got the skill set for a Gateshead side. He adds goals from set pieces. He's a resilient defender as well, so overall seems like a really good prospect. But there is some things he does need to improve on. He needs to further refine his physical game, especially in duels, and he lacks experience in senior football. This would be his first loan spell from the football club, Sunderland under-21s. So it would be a bit of a gamble in terms of bringing through a rookie on loan. However, I think it could be a rookie gamble that's worth taking here from Alan Armstrong. On the right-hand side, I've gone for a bit more experience and someone who I think could be a pretty big, ambitious pickup from a League 2 side, and that is Priestley Farquharson from Walsall, a man-mountain of a defender who's experienced, comfortable in one-on-one duels. He can cover at right back as well. He's overcome injuries to return to full fitness on numerous occasions, carries the ball well, and would be a straight-up first choice option. Now, he does have a year left on his contract, and I think overall it would be very interesting to see if he would drop down a level to be part of that Gateshead squad. Part of me thinks he could, part of me maybe not. However, I would seriously rate that signing 100%. Now let's go into the right back role, because I've got a young player who's out of contract and leaving Derby's under-21s that I think could be a real long-term signing in this position. And that is Max Bardell, who was actually on loan at relegated Fylde last season, so he's already got National League experience under his belt. He can also cover as a right-sided centre-back, he's comfortable out from the back, and he's a great ground passer, which suits the style of play of manager Alan Armstrong. One of his other main traits is he's able to make quick switches in possession. So if you see a bit of space open up on the opposite side, Max Bardell can make the quick switch over to that side and exploit that space using his teammate and really assist a potential counter-attack. So in transition, he could be a very good player here for Alan Armstrong. Now, there are a couple of things he does need to be aware of. He needs to maintain his discipline and positional awareness, especially when he's under pressure. But of course, that comes with experience. And he needs to improve his recovery pace in transition as well, if he's to further improve as a better transitional player. But I think in terms of the potential this guy has, I think Max Bardell would be a wonderful addition to an ever-growing Gateshead squad in terms of long-term being that key valuable asset for the football club. They've had previous sellable assets in players such as Owen Bailey before, that's gone to Doncaster Rovers now and has absolutely killed it as a fan favourite. So I think this is where Gateshead's smart, young recruitment comes into effect, and I think this could be a very, very creative signing. Now let's go into wingers, and we start with the left-hand side and South Shields' Kyle Crosley. This guy statistically was one of the better players in the National League North last season, with 10 goals and 7 assists in 44 appearances for South Shields in the league in the previous campaign. That is a good end product and someone who definitely deserves a move up to the 5th tier from the 6th tier. The coaches at South Shields have noted that he makes smart runs, he's a great decision execution player, plenty of youth pedigree and high potential going forward for this guy, a perfect transitional player with high work rate and great fitness levels. Of course, stepping into the 5th tier is going to be a big step up for the lad. Would he be able to do it? Obviously there is risks. I think physically he does need to bulk up a bit more and cope with those more physical players in the National League. However, I think he's got the potential to do it, and I think he could kill it in the National League under Armstrong at Gateshead. On the right hand side you've got Luca Thomas, who's just left Leeds United under 21s on a permanent basis. And this guy has had previous experience on loan in the National League, with both Halifax Town and York City being previous loan destinations from the Leeds Academy. He's a hard-working player, a good finisher, and a strong link-up player, which is a core part of the philosophy from manager Alan Armstrong. He's also a very energetic player down that right-hand side, and I think that could be really key for the manager. And he closes defenders down very, very well, which provides a really good, dangerous, direct player down that channel for Alan Armstrong. But he does need to work on the defensive side, especially when you're in a 4-4-2. You're not operating as a winger, you're operating as a wide midfielder almost. So you're kind of covering the defensive half as well if the fullbacks overlap and then can't track back in time. However, I think Luca Thomas has got high work rate and high potential, and I think he could do a good job for Armstrong and Gateshead. Now let's bring you Dan Barton from Cambridge as an attacking midfielder option. He's tactically versatile, a good dribbler and creatively solid. Now when I mentioned his versatility, he can operate in a multitude of different roles in terms of the 10 role, the 8 role, and on the right as well. So you've got a player there who can play multiple positions, which would suit the manager very, very well. He's got strong work ethic, he contributes offensively and defensively, working in pressing systems especially, so I think that him being a pressing system player works very well for this manager. But there is a few things that he does need to be aware of. He does need a bit more regular senior football experience. He's just coming off of a 10-week injury around the kind of starting period of the previous season. He made a few appearances in League One last season for Cambridge United, but for me I think he just needs regular first team football, and I think he gets that at Gateshead, dropping down into League 2. Of course, Cambridge relegated from League 1. I think he can drop down to the National League and really show him how it's done. And finally, we've got a striker, and I think you need some experience up front, and I've got just the man for the job. Dom Telford, just released by Barrow, I think is perfect for Alan Armstrong's Gateshead Football Club. He offers smart movement, lethal finishing in tight spaces, and a real professional mindset both on and off the pitch, making him a strong attacking prospect for Gateshead. He's got experience of promotion in the EFL, which makes him very good in winning football clubs, which is what Gateshead need to be if they need to go one step further than last season and get into the playoffs, one step closer from the EFL. I think his ability to occupy defenders, pounce on crosses and through balls, his instinct for goal scoring makes him a good in-the-box presence for Alan Armstrong's side. He can also exploit spaces behind defensive lines using his pace at times, so I think that again, I think his movement, his acceleration, his triggered acceleration makes him a target for quick transitions. And I think he's got a high work rate and a good team ethic, which works for the Gateshead setup as well. So that is my signings on who I think could be brilliant targets for Gateshead Football Club. Gateshead Football Club could be in for a very challenging season, but if they get the recruitment right, they could surprise a few this season. If you are new around here, I need you to do one more thing for me. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. Who do you think Gateshead should sign? Let me know in the comments below. Ta-ra for now, and enjoy your day.